Hello there you guys, welcome to another of my live videos. And Manchester United currently lost to Manchester City by 3 goals to 1 today in the current Manchester derby. So it's a very disappointing result for us now. That's 4 defeats this season now in the Premier League, 21 goals conceded now in the Premier League. We sit 12 points behind top place, Manchester City are top now, and we currently sit 7 points from top 4 as well. Very disappointing result. We knew going into the game that reportedly Manchester United had confirmed that Manchester United had Paul Pogba out. It did say he was a doubt for the Manchester derby. He currently had been training on Saturday. It confirmed he missed training on Friday. It confirmed he had been training indoors at Paul Pogba, our most essential midfielder. And it had confirmed that he didn't currently arrive. Confirmed that he didn't currently arrive at Lobby Hotel, with the rest of the squad, and it confirmed that it was a minor injury that Paul Pogba had suffered, so he hadn't featured in the Manchester derby today. We knew Valencia was still currently out with a mouth injury. He's been out for a long time. We knew Doyle was still out as well. Romelu Lukaku, Jose Mourinho did confirm he could be available for the Manchester derby. He was available today. He came on as a substitution. He hadn't played in the last 2 previous games. He hasn't been in great form. He hasn't scored in like 9 or 10 games as Romelu Lukaku as well. For Manchester City, they had Kevin De Bruyne out till mid-December. They've got Kevin De Bruyne out, and they also had Claudio Bravo out as well. But Manchester City won today by 3 goals to 1. They keep that impressive record up as well. Currently sitting top now, played 12, won 10, drawn 2, scored 36 goals, and only conceded 5 goals. Manchester City as well. And now we know, well, I'll go through some statistics with you. Manchester City have only lost 1 game in their last 40 games under Pep Guardiola. They've only lost 1 game in their last 40 games now under Pep Guardiola after taking the lead. So they've only lost 1 game in 40 games under Pep Guardiola, when they have been leading of Manchester City. So that's a statistic to update you on. We knew this was basically the 22nd meeting between Jose Mourinho and Pep Guardiola. And now as it stands, Pep Guardiola's won 10, Mourinho's won 5, and there has been 7 draws as well. We know under Alex Ferguson, we beat Manchester City 18 times out of 32 Premier League games. So that's a statistic to update you with. So Jose Mourinho went with a 4-3-3 selection. He went with De Gea in net. He went with Ashley Young. He went with Lindelof and Smalling in the centre-back partnership, as he's been using often this season. Luke Shaw at the left-back position. Due to Paul Pogba's absence, he's featuring every Premier League game this season, apart from the Manchester derby today, of course. In the midfield, Jose Mourinho went with Fellaini, Herrera and Matic. On the left, he went with Antonio Martial. He's been in great, fantastic form. He went with Rashford in the middle. And he went with Jesse Lingard on the right-hand side. But I think Jose Mourinho should have started Juan Mata from the start. But anyway, going into the game, the statistics, Manchester City reportedly had 17 shots. Manchester United had 6. And reportedly chances created, Manchester City had 19. Manchester United had 4. And City created a lot more accurate passes as well. But going into the game, I thought it was a game that Manchester City, for the large periods of the game, had totally dominated in terms of possession. They passed the ball very well. I thought Gundogan played well for City. I thought Sterling played very well for City. I thought David Silva played very well for City. I thought Bernardo Silva as well played very well for City. I can't remember Manchester United having a single shot on target, where Edison basically had to do out. We looked on the back foot for the most of the game. And, it only took 11 minutes in, I think it was 11 minutes in for City to take the lead. It was a ball into the box from Raheem Sterling. It went into the box from Raheem Sterling. David Silva had capitalised on it, and he put the ball into the back of net and made it 1-0. I think it came off De Gea, and that was 1-0. City still continued to press. They had chances, did Manchester City. Manchester United on the back foot for the most of the game. I don't think we really created out going forward. I think Jesse Lingard, Martial and Rashford, especially in the first half, didn't really do out. Didn't really cause a threat, to Manchester City, as I said. But yeah, then it was half time. Manchester United didn't really do out in the game because Jose Mourinho's style of play, definitely needs to improve. As I said, and then in the second half, Manchester City had doubled their lead. It was from it was from Sergio Aguero, who's now scored 8 goals now against Manchester United. It was a good link-up play between Raheem Mahrez and Aguero. Good 1-2. Aguero from the right-hand side whacked it. Went into the roof of the net, and that was a lovely finish to quieten us, and that made it 2-0. And then Manchester United had a deficit to climb on. And then Jose Mourinho brought a substitution. I brought Romelu Lukaku on. He brought Romelu Lukaku on. He brought Lukaku on. He brought Sanchez on, and he brought Juan Mata on as well. Manchester United had got a penalty. I think Edison had took Romelu Lukaku out. It wasn't long after he just came on. He took him out. I think it was a penalty, to be quite honest with you. And then Manchester United got a penalty. Martial had took away the penalty, and that was 2-1. But it was a very, very good penalty, and we know Martial's in fantastic form. He has been scoring goals. So like Martial had took away the penalty. And basically then Manchester City had got the third. It was from Gundogan. It was a lovely piece of play from Bernardo Silva. He hooked a long ball into the box, found Gundogan, and Gundogan in the 6-yard box had easily tucked it away, and that made it 3-1 to Manchester City. And then obviously Manchester City were always going to win the game. We were looking for back-to-back results against Manchester City today. We didn't get it because we lost 3-1. Jose Mourinho currently confirmed in his press conference. He said the performance wasn't that bad. I don't think the performance was up to scratch yet again. Manchester United really did nothing. We were crap. Jose Mourinho basically said in the interview that the performance wasn't bad. He said that Manchester United. He said all the three of the goals were from defensive mistakes. Jose Mourinho had criticised the defence in this situation. But he says it was 3 mistakes that give Manchester City their 3 goals. This is what Mourinho explained. He says we're still looking stronger. He still says we look a lot better than we did. But he says the 3 goals that Manchester City scored were mistakes. This is what basically Jose Mourinho's currently admitted in his current press conference. Now, I said this is 4 defeats now. 21 goals in the Premier League conceded, 12 points, from the top now. We currently saw Arsenal draw today with Wolves. Chelsea drew today with Everton as well. So Chelsea had the chance to go top, but they didn't. But yeah, as I said, Pep Guardiola is an absolutely fantastic manager, a fantastic career. Barcelona, Bayern Munich, he's broken records. City got 100 points last season. He spent a lot of money on the club. He spent £1 billion all in all his managerial career. More than half that has been spent on Manchester City. They're gelling well together as a team. They've got a lot of world-class players in there. As I said, they've got Leroy Sané, who came on in the game as well. Got Gundogan, they've got Aguero, they've got Fernandinho, they've got Danilo, John Stones, Vincent Kompany, Mendy. City have got a hell of a lot of class players, and they're just gelling well together as a team. And to me, City fully deserve their victory today. It could have been basically more than 3-1. The chances they created. Manchester United didn't really cause an aerial threat to Manchester City's goal. But basically, I think for the majority of the game, Manchester United basically won in the game, as I said. I can't really give ratings for the players today, to be quite honest with you. But now, basically, it's a shame, really, because, Manchester United have been in a good run of form lately. Since the Newcastle game, Manchester United have been in a really good run of form. It says regardless of the Newcastle result, Jose Mourinho was going to get the sack. And then since then, we have really been in a good run of form. But, we've lost another game yet today. Jose Mourinho will be under more immense pressure now. There were still some fans saying, they still wanted Jose Mourinho out. Jose Mourinho reportedly is going to get £100 million spending spree in January. Reportedly, defensively, we have got issues. Defensively, we need a central defender. We need an attacker up there as well, because Lukaku came on today. He got us the penalty, as I said. But he hasn't been to his potential this season as well. As I said, it was a good win. In midweek against Juventus. Again, the performance wasn't up to scratch. The performance wasn't good enough. But yeah, it was two set pieces basically that got us that result, and Jose Mourinho changed that around fantastically well. So I did credit Jose Mourinho in that situation. We've lost yet again to a fantastic opponent. You know, Manchester City are an absolutely world-class side with a lot of money that's been invested in that team. You know, potentially, you know, the best manager, especially in the Premier League within Pep Guardiola. You know, he's invested a lot of money into that Manchester City squad. You know, Bernardo Silva played well today for them. You know, he also got 2 assists. You know, for two out of their 3 goals as well. Did De Bruyne? I think Paul Pogba was a huge miss, especially you know in the midfield. Paul Pogba was a huge miss. You could tell how much space within that midfield, you know, for Manchester City to exploit, you know, without Paul Pogba there. You know, that right hand side at Manchester United still definitely needs addressing as well. Because teams are exploiting it far too easily this season as well. We've already won 3 on the road this season, away from home, as I said. But Manchester City were class today. They were absolutely world class and they performed absolutely fantastic. You know, they had the majority of the possession in the game as well. They created, they pressed forward, they caused Manchester United all sorts of problems. Manchester United didn't really do well in the game. You know, I think we had a couple of odd chances, but I can't remember Manchester United having a shot on target in that game. Martial, Lingard, and Rashford potentially in the first half wasn't on it at all. Edison had basically had nothing to do, you know, especially in the first half as well. But it just shows how hard Manchester City are to break down in that defensive area, because City defensively are very strong indeed as well. But now City are top, you know, we're sitting 12 points behind from top, you know, we're sitting 7 points behind top 4. Jose Mourinho still said he was convinced we could get the top 4 by Christmas. But we have been in a good run of form, really. You know, we had a massive result midweek against Juventus, you know, a team that often seldom lose at the Allianz Stadium, especially in the Champions League as well. But now we've currently lost today. That's our 4th defeat now this season now in 12 games, which is a very bad record indeed. You know, most of the time under Fergie we'd only lose 4, 5, 6, you know, or in one season, you know, in the Premier League. And, you know, we've basically already lost 4 games. We've had a glimpse of the Fergie days in recent games, you know, scoring late goals, you know, comebacks as well, you know, like we used to do under Alex Ferguson. But today, we fully deserved, you know, to lose today. And Jose Mourinho said the performance wasn't that bad. He says we are looking stronger, we are looking better. But Mourinho said defensively there was defensive mistakes, and he has criticised defence. He says Manchester City's 3 goals were from mistakes, and he says basically Manchester United got punished for that as well. Potentially for me, I think Manchester City are going to win the league this season. Liverpool are up there because obviously they won 2-0 today. You know, Klopp's got a good pedigree. He showed it with Borussia Dortmund. He's invested quite a lot of money into the Liverpool squad, you know, since he's been at Liverpool as Jurgen Klopp. Manchester United are definitely not title contenders this season because the performances aren't good enough. And he has been criticised, you know, for his style of play, as Jose Mourinho. But, you know, he's only won 3 trophies since he's come to the club. As I said, this is his 3rd season now. It's all like 1 year. It's like Jose Mourinho's 1st season at the moment. He won 3 titles with Chelsea. He's won titles everywhere he's been. But based on the history of this club with the success we had under Fergie for like nearly 3 decades, as I said, in Jose Mourinho's history, you know, Jose Mourinho by now should have won a Premier League with Manchester United, because that would have been the expectations, you know, of Manchester United for Jose Mourinho to win a Premier League by now. You know, basically now will he be under more pressure of getting the sack from Manchester United all of a sudden now we've lost today? I do not know, but he was under serious pressure before the Newcastle game as well. But we know Jose Mourinho's had a lot of disputes, you know, especially with the top players since he's come to clubs such as Martial, Pogba, Luke Shaw, and all that. And we were all saying when we're in a good form, can Jose Mourinho starting to turn it round at Manchester United? We know he's arrogant, but all of a sudden now we was in a good run of form. And now, it's the same shit again, losing yet again. And that's 4 defeats now in 12 games, which is a terrible, terrible record. We have drawn quite a few as well. We have only won 3 on the road all season. His goal difference is very, very bad. We've conceded 21 goals now in the Premier League in 12 Premier League games, which is very, very bad. This is why Jose Mourinho's looking to address the defence. And he's looking for someone to lead the lines with Romelu Lukaku, as I said. But as I said, it just basically hasn't been the same since Fergie retired in 2013 because he had great success. 13 Premier League titles, 5 FA Cups, 2 Champions League with Manchester United. It just hasn't been the same since he currently retired in 2013. It wasn't good under the Moyes era where we sacked him within 9 months of the job. Wasn't good in the Van Gaal era as well. We lost to teams, that we would hardly lose to under Fergie. Van Gaal had a good pedigree with Bayern Munich. And, with Mourinho now, we're losing to teams, basically that we shouldn't be losing to. But we know Manchester City are a great, great outfit. We've lost to West Ham this season, Brighton this season, Tottenham at home, now Manchester City. I think there's basically more defeats to come. So, there's been a lot of money spent into that team. There's been just under £400 million since Mourinho has come into the club. Potentially, we spent over £1 billion in all the managerial eras, since Ferguson's retirement. We basically potentially spent more than Manchester City, but Manchester United's team isn't gelling properly. Manchester City's team is gelling properly, and they have now won 3 Premier League trophies. I think they're on the way to the 4th Premier League trophy this season. I think Manchester City are going to win it because I just don't think any team can potentially stop them at the moment. They're basically unstoppable. They're world class. They've purchased all this, the silverware they've got recently, and they've purchased it all of Manchester City. But it wasn't a great performance today. I can't really give you ratings of any players because I don't think any player really stood out for Manchester United because we basically, for the most of the game, wasn't in the game because Manchester City clearly controlled the midfield. The attackively played fantastically well. Defensively, they were very, very good as well. Manchester United going forward didn't really cause them a threat. But I think things need to definitely improve at Manchester United. So, will Jose Mourinho, he's still convinced we can get top 4. Reportedly, he's still being backed. There's been talks about the January window as well. But as you heard in Mourinho's conference, he said it wasn't a bad performance. He said it was leading to Manchester City's 3 goals. It was 3 mistakes for Manchester United. And this is what basically Jose Mourinho's quoted out. He says, we're looking much stronger. We're looking much better. But it isn't good enough because basically, if we'd have won today, we'd have gone way up the table. Now we're sitting 12 points from top, as I said. Now we're sitting 7 points from top 4 because Tottenham won yesterday against Crystal Palace. So we're not in a commanding position, that we should be with the size of this club, with the success that this club has had over the years. And, with the history that Jose Mourinho's had, basically, we should be much, much more of a position, than we should be, we should be more competitive, and we could, definitely see a few players leave in the January window as well. As I said, Bailey, reportedly being linked with AC Milan as Eric Bailey. He's been linked with AC Milan. He hasn't really started this season. We got him from Villarreal, was it, in 2016, so Bailey could potentially, because he's coming to an end of his contract soon. He's only scored 1 goal since coming to United. De Gea has not potentially signed his contract extension yet. Mourinho said a couple of weeks ago he wasn't confident that De Gea was going to sign his contract extension. We have had him since 2011. He's won everything here apart from the Champions League as David De Gea. So we've had him about 8 or 9 years now at Manchester United. He isn't up the ranks for Atletico Madrid. But he has yet to sign this extension yet as David De Gea. We've got Antonio Martial there. The good news about that, he's on the verge of signing a £45 million year and a 5-year contract. He currently turned down the previous contract offer at Antonio Martial, but due to his recent performances, he's been recalled back into the France squad. Antonio Martial, he also got his name on the score sheet today, from that penalty. Martial had scored the penalty, so he has got his name on the score sheet yet again as Martial. We've got Hando Herrera also started today. He hasn't started often, from the start, especially this season under Jose Mourinho. He hasn't started often as well, but he did start today. Did under Herrera. Fred hasn't really featured much in the Manchester United team, since since Jose Mourinho got him in the summer. Sanchez came on as a substitution today, as well as being talks that he wants to leave Manchester United because he doesn't like Jose Mourinho's managerial style. Sanchez isn't really getting on with the teammates at Manchester United. Reportedly, PSG have been linked with him. They were linked to him last year, but reportedly Sanchez does want to leave the club. We've only had him since January. Alexis Sanchez as well. He's currently on £500,000 a week. They're basically the highest paid player. He hasn't really made an impact at all since he's come to Manchester United. He's versatile. He can play numerous positions, but he mainly fulfills himself in that number 7 position. He was good in his Arsenal days with Arsene Wenger for 4 or 5 years, so good with Barcelona, good with underneath, but he hasn't really made an impact, since he's come to Old Trafford, so potentially, basically he wants to leave, and he could potentially leave in January or next summer as well, and Jose Mourinho will have to find replacements for this as well. Juan Mata, I think, should have started today. He was on the bench, but he did come on in the game. Juan Mata, reportedly Arsenal are keen on potentially making a move for him next summer, as he updated you earlier on. As he updated you on, Arsenal potentially wanting to make a move for him next summer on a free when he currently comes to an end of his current contract. Obviously, Emre is keen on the player. Emre has worked with obviously Juan Mata in the past during his Valencia days. He's up thanks to Real Madrid. Very good with Valencia. Good during his Chelsea days as well. He's Premier League proven. He has been in the Premier League, about 8 years or so now. 5 of them years now at Manchester United. Juan Mata. But reportedly Arsenal are set to go for him in the free next summer. He made 174 appearances, during his time with Valencia and Emre Juan Mata. I don't think there's been any potential talks about getting him a new contract at Manchester United yet, Juan Mata. But we know with the David De Gea situation, his current agent representatives, been discussions about David De Gea signing his contract extension. We know Real Madrid have been interested in him a long time. Real Madrid got Courtois, so there's not their interest in David De Gea as well. But there was also talks early on. Jose Mourinho, to be fair, spent a lot of money at Manchester United since he's come. It has missed out on a lot of potential targets, that could potentially, basically improved us. He missed out on Toby Alderweireld, Harry Maguire, Boateng. There's been talks in the press that Mourinho's potentially interested in Nathan Ike, the current Bournemouth central defender. He can also play as a left back as well, so he is versatile as well. He risen up the ranks with Chelsea. He was Chelsea, where he'd risen up the ranks. Nathan Ike. I think he was there about 4 or 5 years or so. He has been at Bournemouth since 2016. He's also been at Reading and Watford in the past. He won the Young Player of the Season with Watford, Young Player of the Year with Chelsea. Reportedly, Man United, Man City, Chelsea and Tottenham are interested in signing this player. Bournemouth rate him at around about £40 million, this Nathan Ike. He's been in fantastic form, for Bournemouth this season as the player, Nathan Ike. There's a few teams that are monitoring an interest in the player as well, but Bournemouth are looking to sanction him off, and then Bournemouth looking for potentially a replacement for the player. This is basically what it said in the press today. Manchester United could also, there's been rumours about Paul Pogba potentially maybe making a return to Juventus. It has been at Old Trafford since 2016. Reportedly, it's in the press, Juventus are willing to offer one of their 3 players, in exchange for Paul Pogba. That's Man Utd, Alexandro, and someone else. I can't pronounce his name fully, but Juventus are willing to offer one of their 3 players for the exchange of Paul Pogba, potentially we paid £89 million for, the 4th most expensive Football Association player. Paul Pogba hasn't really made an impact at all in that midfield, since he's come to United. He won honours with Juventus, he made 179 appearances for Juventus. Juventus have a lot of respect for him. The Juventus director has a lot of respect for him as well. But there has been potentially talks about that as well. But as I said, guys, at this moment in time, we're nowhere near on the same level of the likes of Man City. We're nowhere near on the same level as the likes of Juventus or Real Madrid or Barcelona, Manchester United are nowhere near on the same level as them at the moment, because the team just basically isn't performing fully, to perform for like one half of a game or when we go behind, and that's when Manchester United seem to perform. But you've got to perform right from the beginning. You were under the Fergie days, we had a lot of bad games, but there was that fear factor there, and we're still grinding a lot of results out. We shouldn't be in a position that we should be in now, with the size of this club, with the money that's being invested into this club. We shouldn't be sitting 6th or 7th now on the table, because basically lowest we finished was third, basically under the Fergie era. Lowest we finished all in all was under David Moyes, 7th. And this is just not good enough at all. We wasn't comparable to Manchester City today at all in every area of pitch. We was just basically outclassed, basically, in my opinion. It was, as I said, the goals were from David Silva. Who was the other one? David Silva, Aguero, who's now scored 8 goals against Manchester United, and Gundogan as well, and Bernardo got 2 assists as well. I think he played well for City. Bernardo Silva played well for him. Gundogan played well for him. Sane looked a real threat, when he came on in the game. Aguero played very, very well for Manchester City. They have Raheem Sterling played very, very well. They just have got a world-class side of Manchester City, and I just don't think there's basically no one stopping them at the moment, as I said. But it's a fantastic record. Pep Guardiola's, he's won more meetings with Jose Mourinho. The only manager he's lost more to than is Jurgen Klopp as Pep Guardiola. But his record's fantastic. In the last 40 games, he's only lost 1 game from City being in a winning position. So that is basically a fantastic statistic as well. Because Alex Ferguson had a good record against Man City when he's Manchester United manager. He won 18 of his 32 Premier League games against Manchester City. Did Alex Ferguson. I can't really say what Man United player stood out today, because I just thought it was an absolutely terrible performance, in my opinion, of what I saw of the game as well. 4 defeats now. It's not looking very, very good. We've still got big games coming up with, Liverpool coming up. We've still got Arsenal to play. We've got Chelsea to play at Old Trafford, is it next year sometime? We still got big games coming up, and potentially we could lose them games. So, I'm not too sure that Manchester United basically can get top 4 this season. We did well to win at Juventus midweek, because they often seldom lose there. That gave me a glimpse of 1999 when Manchester United had scored in the last 5 minutes of that game from being 1-0 down. That was the first time we did that in 19 years, and now we've been in a good run of form. Now all of a sudden it is back to square one now, another defeat, because we used to win 7-8 at least on the trot with Alex Ferguson. We had great, fantastic players. We had. I thought Paul Ince was a great player for United. A great legend. Scholes, Carrick, was fantastic for Manchester United. I thought Cantona was fantastic for Manchester United. I thought Giggs was an absolutely fantastic legend as well. Vidic and Ferdinand were a fantastic centre-back partnership. I thought Evra was very, very good. Ronaldo, Tevez. When I had Beckham back in the day, Van Nistelrooy. That's when Manchester United were potentially one of the best teams. That's when Manchester United were potentially one of the best teams. But now we're just not that team anymore that we're basically used to be. And as I said, we need these players now that Mourinho's got in, especially. And we know he's still inheriting the players Van Gaal got and Moyes got. We need these players to try and be comparable to the players that that we had under Fergie, and it's just basically not happening at the moment. We've still got a few players from the Fergie days, such as Valencia Jones, Ashley Young, and all that, but it's just not happening at the moment. I think Mourinho's still playing players slightly out of position. Basically for me, Ashley Young's more of a right winger. Ashley Young for England played as a right winger, and his Aston Villa days plays as a right winger. So potentially, I don't think Ashley Young's basically a right fullback, to be quite fair. But defensively, that definitely needs addressing defensively, because we are conceding a lot of goals. We've only kept 1 clean sheet in the league this season, so that is very, very bad, especially compared to last season, or was it the year before, when we kept a lot of clean sheets at the beginning of the season, especially. But But I just can't see, the way that the way the team are forming at the moment. I just can't see, Manchester United even challenging for the top four at this moment in time. We was lucky to win against Juventus. It was 2 set pieces. The Juan Mata's goal was fantastic. The second goal was very, very lucky. Juventus, could have been out of sight, at half time. They hit the woodwork twice. They had chances through Quadrado, Ronaldo. They had numerous opportunities, Juventus in that game. We could have easily lost that game, to be quite fair. We didn't. And today was the same. City had a catalogue of chances. They did win the game 3-1. It could have been basically more than 3-1 because Manchester United did really nothing going forward. Middle of the park, we was getting caught out too easily. Defensively, we looked very, very bad on that right-hand side. We was getting exploited far too easily. And, it's not looking very, very good at the moment. As last 3 goals, including today, have been from set pieces. Have basically been from set pieces. So it's not looking very, very good at Manchester United. And Mourinho has said in his press conference, don't forget he did say in his press conference, did Jose Mourinho, that he says the performance wasn't that bad. He said the Manchester City's 3 goals were mistakes. He says he's still got faith as Jose Mourinho, still says potentially we're looking better and more stronger. This is what Mourinho said. But, Manchester City are a world class side. A lot of money's been invested in that team. If we was here under Alex Ferguson now, potentially 9 out of 10 times we would be getting results out of Manchester City because he had a good record as Manchester United manager of getting results against Manchester City, but potentially now Manchester City, based on their history, is crap. Our history is a lot more better than Manchester City's, but now all of a sudden, now they've got the players in, now that the money's been spent, they're getting somewhere on the board now with Manchester City. And they're, drifting way ahead of Manchester City. So we'll have to see what happens. So anyway, guys, that's everything to update today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. Tell me what you think of today's game. Description's in the box below. I'm going to do a description on this video. And take care, God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye.